right. I think we are finally here. And thanks, Monica, for joining me today. I'm Leslie with Franchise FastTrack. And today we have as a guest Monica Tomasso, who I actually had the pleasure of meeting at a pragmatic business networking, I believe. So if you're ever looking for a networking company or event, check them out. They're pretty cool. But yeah, I love for you, Monica, to kind of give us 15,000 foot overview of who you are, how you came about, this AI search era, and really what drove you to make the leap of owning your own business.
Awesome. Well, first, Leslie, thank you for having me on this podcast. Super excited to be here. So my background is I have spent about 20 plus years in digital marketing and transformation started out with Mobil Oil, then it was merged with ExxonMobil. I left at one point to start a company on my own after my MBA. It was an e-commerce company back in 2005 to get healthy food in the hands of kids, and we delivered those to schools and camps. I ran that for 7 years. I went back to ExxonMobil after that. Did not become the multimillionaire I thought I was going to become. And then the whole situation did that for 7 years, and then Blue Apron and HelloFresh came in and sort of I could have pivoted. I didn't have the wherewithal at the time, but they came in and they created an e-commerce company where they were shipping food across country, where I had just done it super local. But the e-commerce was amazing for the year 2005. It was a turnkey situation, so it was very cool. But anyways, I went back to ExxonMobil. They moved their whole entire headquarters 2 years after that to Texas. I was not able to join them in Texas, so I was at NTT Data doing amazing marketing transformation there, digital transformation, and then most recently at BP. So I give you that long spiel for a second here to explain how I got into AI from the BP side of it. So I hadn't been at BP for more than a year and a half, and in December of 2024, August of 2024, they had announced that they were going to be laying off thousands of people. And that was August of 2024. By December 2024, the CTO of BP came onto a Zoom call with all of us and told us that with layoffs looming, that we should all go learn AI. Those were we should go learn AI, 5 words that really resonated with me. So by January 2025, I found this amazing company online that taught us AI consulting, gave us ideas, different things that we could do. I ended up going down this area of hearing about potential clients talking about how their organic search is shifting. And I couldn't understand what that meant. And I really went really deep into learning what was happening there. And by July of 2025, I launched my business. And then by August of 2025, I was laid off. So by fall, I had already been getting clients by October, which was really amazing. And I was hearing their stories. My business is becoming invisible. And so I do a do it for you, done for you on top of an enterprise system. And that's amazing. But I was finding companies not wanting to pay the price of that. So what I did is built this do-it-yourself AI content system. And that's what I would love to talk about a little more. It's really, truly amazing on how that helps you get into large language models. So I sort of adopted it myself, and tracking through it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, right on. Right now it seems like AI search or the word AI kind of ruffles a lot of people's feathers. They don't really understand how to even, get started with it, at least from our own perspective in the franchise community. It's like this whole initiative, this whole shift that is going on from your traditional SEO to now, be able to build on these large language models to be visible. Because really, when you think about AI, at least for me, if I'm, kind of browsing on my phone and I want a quick answer to something, I kind of gravitate towards that ChatGPT or Claude for some sort of assistance. And if the answer is not there of what I'm looking for, I kind of move on to the next thing. And so for franchising, it's so important to have these searchable queries or this information available to be visible, because let's be honest, top of the funnel ads simply are not going to get the investors that you really need to be able to grow your systems. It's just unlikely. I mean, it's awareness, but you still need a little bit more essence. So maybe share with me kind of like the plain English, easy to digest. What exactly is AI search?
Sure. So when we talk about the word large language models, those are referring to ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Copilot, Gemini, and Google AI. They are basically AI search models. And so if you think about the traditional SEO, that was Google search. But now Google is moving into Google AI or Google or Gemini. And those 10 blue links will go away most likely by end of this year. And what's happening is Google still thinks SEO is GEO, generative engine optimization. It will not separate from GEO. Google will not separate SEO from GEO. So they're lumping it together, which is fine. SEO is still there for your foundation. Think of it as like you're building a house and you need the SEO, you need your map pack, you need your Google business profile, but you layer on generative engine optimization, GEO, and answer engine optimization, AEO, and that builds your whole house. And then from there, there's keywords no longer exist in this world, and short logs, they don't work in this new AI search world. So what that means is that we need to understand the buyer prompts or the prompts that people are putting into these large language models and literally having conversations with these large language models. Like you're in ChatGPT or Gemini and you're asking questions, continuous questions. So that's where we need to understand what are those kinds of questions people are asking about our business so that we can create content and answer those questions and drive people to your content or your business. What's really happening right now, an article came out and said they had not believed this would happen already in 2026. They thought this would happen more closer to 2027, 2028, but Google just announced just today morning that 68% of the people coming onto their platform are going right into the AI, Gemini or Google AI. And so what that means, it's taking people off people's websites. People who are searching, they're searching inside that search, AI search. And you may not have enough credibility built, we can talk about that, to get citations. And citations are important because that's the link to your content or your website. But you could be recommended or mentioned, and that's okay too. But then that means somebody has to go search for you because there wasn't a link. But there's a lot of different KPIs in this, and getting mentioned and recommended is great. Having a citation is even better. That's what happens inside the AI search. And then there's this whole buyer journey discussion, understanding the questions that are being asked across the GPT. GPT is asking questions back when somebody is asking a question. So we track the buyer journey and what that looks like.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like on par to what I sort of understand, and I'm very beginner. I'm crawling still in this sort of language and this sort of information out there regarding the AI. But because we have an expert like you, I get to pick your brain. And of course, anybody listening out there that is a franchisor that needs assistance with this, obviously, we will share her information to be able to be contacted. But before we get to that, I kind of want to ask, in the perspective or in the lens of a franchisor, somebody that maybe has spent the last 5 years building their blogs, building keyword search terms on SEO, traditional SEO, what should be the very first thing that they should tackle, let's say, if they haven't already started this week?
I would say that if you haven't understood what your visibility looks like, we have an AI visibility checker completely free on our website. You basically just put in your website, your name of your brand, your website, and who you serve and what exactly makes you special in that space. And then it'll go across 90 prompts for LLMs, and it'll bump out like where you're visible, what LLM you're visible in, what one you're not, and then who's your competition. And that's pretty powerful. So there's prompts that go out. I think there's 30 prompts per each LLM that can help you understand your visibility. So I would do that first. Or you could just go into any of those language models and put in like not your business name, but sort of like the keywords of what your business does and see if you come up. So that's super beneficial. And it'll give you some visibility into what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds again like something that every single franchisor ought to be doing is asking, questions about their industry and seeing if they even, are mentioned or pop up. But as far as building or adding value to their current website, as an example, what I'm hearing between the vine, I guess, in the community is that adding more Q&A, having a very robust Q&A listed on their franchise websites.
That is exactly right. But the first mistake where it happens is you jump go to an AI and find out like, oh, what questions should I be putting on my website for a franchise company in the med spa space? You wouldn't want to do that. You want to know exactly what those questions are of what people are asking.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And so maybe talk to me about the links. I know you said you were going to touch on that a little bit further, but since I want to make sure that every single person out there that is new to this understands like under the hood type of perspective, I'd love for you to kind of share like what they ought to be doing in terms of citations or links for them to be relevant.
Yeah, so here's the spiel. Since I mentioned earlier that all the websites are going to be agentic, meaning that you're going to have a conversation with any of them. So like Atlas is ChatGPT's agentic browser. Comet is Perplexity's agentic browser. We got Chrome, which is Gemini or Google AI. So everything's becoming agentic, right? Mm-hmm. And the website's really the last mile. And what we need to do is think about how you train. It's probably easier to understand it when you say train the web, or maybe think about a city where we're putting content across the city. It's almost like you're in a neighborhood and you have an event going on and you're stapling papers all across your neighborhood to talk about that event, right? So think of it that way. So I think for the franchise side of it, depending on what the franchise is, I do think they benefit from being in Reddit. So believe it or not, Reddit goes into large language models as like 65%, but Google just announced a couple of weeks ago, the conversations of people talking about your business are showing up in Google. They're bringing those conversations in because what's happening is at the end of the day, you have to build your authority. LLMs want to recommend somebody they trust. Mm-hmm. So putting content across the web helps. Your name should appear, and what you do should appear consistently across the web. You can't say you're like on a LinkedIn profile that you're doing one thing and then on your Google profile you're doing another. That doesn't work. Consistency is really important there. Same phone number. That's your whole map pack. And then so Reddit, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest highly feed the large language model. So having content on those 4 sites is really imperative. That's training the web or putting together your city. And then what I like to do is say that blogs used to be amazing. Like we want to do blogs to get content out there. There's a different way of getting content out there. And I have a couple things to say about that. So blogs today, you save up for your very biggest event or biggest announcement. And that's recently changed. What you do for content is you find out, so topical maps is an SEO term, but when you think about topical maps with clusters, that all comes together much better. So like you have a pillar page, like a Learn Hub on your website, which I can definitely share at some point. But you have a Learn Hub, you have your pillar pages, like what are the main questions people are asking about your business. And then you have sub pages that So what is GEO, generative engine? That's one of my pillar pages. And then under that, it's talk about training the web and all these other sub pages that help support what the whole GEO thing is. So those are the types of pages you want to create. And then there's a way to canonically link them. That's really important. So you do that, your blogs are big announcements. And then there's another situation is when you do a pillar page or even a blog, medium.com is a really good place to extend content, repurpose that content. And even if you don't get people following it, there are impressions come and they do go into large language models. It's just another way to get content out there. And then you also repurpose that content for LinkedIn if you're doing thought leadership on LinkedIn, which I highly suggest. And then two other things to build your authority, three other things. Getting reviews is like the number one thing we all should be working on is getting really good reviews because those feed your authority into the large language models. G2 and Capterra go into the large language models.
And what's G2? I'm sorry.
Yeah, G2 is believe it or not, it's a huge platform. And if you could, so there's different tiers. You can be on an unpaid tier, which is totally fine. You just put your business on there so other businesses can find you. And then you want to get reviews on there.
Okay.
Because that's where people get their business, is G2, to believe it or not. And Capterra is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is earned media. Mm-hmm. So earned media is not, it does not have to be expensive. But getting like your quotes in an article, like you get quoted in an article with other people, that's huge. And then getting press releases. Earned media is much better for your authority than press releases, but press releases, if you can get one that you didn't have to pay for, of course that's great, right? You don't want to pay $5,000 for a press release. Mm-hmm. But so those are all the ways to help get yourself visible, is building your authority. And then what I had done with my do-it-yourself product, it's a podcast. And the reason why I went to the podcast way is the podcast is not the gold in it. It's the transcript that comes from that podcast. Mm-hmm. So we create this amazing content. We put that transcript up on your webpage because the LLMs will love that. The whole transcript, because it's a question and answer back and forth. You create questions from that transcript. So those are real live questions. So that's where that information is gold.
Yeah, I love the analogy that you used. Your concert, your event in your local community, and then you're putting all these little announcements everywhere, and all of it essentially should lead to the main source, which in this case is your service, your business, whatever it is. In terms of Reddit, I find it very interesting because it seems like such an underutilized gold mine right now, at least for franchisors. They half of them, I mean, I speak to franchisors on a daily basis, and the majority of them are not using Reddit to their growth initiatives.
It's a really, the platform is really intimidating. Mm-hmm. And you can get banned if you say something they thought was wrong, because bots are banning you. So it's very intimidating. I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you say, and I know, of course, we can go down this rabbit hole of Reddit with all the, anti-franchise people, or the people that believe franchises don't have value because you can do it yourself. So how do you navigate through the negative and spin it back into a positive to try to point the fact that, this is an opportunity for some people? Would you say that using the answering to the negative reviews, whether it's a YouTube video or a short, would that be something that can add value to your visibility on AI search?
Absolutely. And here's how I put it. There's going to always be somebody who doesn't like your product, right? Or doesn't like, or had an issue or something. But there's always, I would always look at it as there's always a good way to utilize that to turn it around. And there's huge messaging in just doing that itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big one. I was speaking to a franchisor not too long ago, and their first instinct is legal. Like they're scared of the legal, repercussions or the backlash or whatever of addressing, whatever negativity that's on there. And in my view, because of AI search and how it's growing, I think it's an opportunity to tackle and address it and really own it to be able to really overcome that. So
yeah, I think embracing it, and you can turn it around for the better good. And I've seen that happen.
how long does it take? Because it really, from what I hear, is AI search could take, a couple of months. It could take, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months. But doing it consistently, from your experience, like how long does it actually start showing in the searches and things like this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It used to be when large language model algorithms, they'd all update different times, and it could be a quarter. Like ChatGPT used to be like quarterly, but that's not the case anymore. I just did this huge exercise on my own business with content stuff, and I have earned media coming out like almost like 4 a month, which is really good. But it honestly, I went from 6 days ago, I checked my visibility inside my own dashboard as part of my podcast platform, and I went up 20 points in 6 days in visibility. Wow. Because I've been doing a lot of work on like content structure, the sub pages, pillar pages, everything I talked about. I also I'm testing this, but I think it's truly amazing. I just finished building this AI worker that sits on top of your website. And that means that bots that come to your website, a lot of times they can't read your website because it's not machine readable. So I created this AI worker that sits on top of my website, and it will determine if a bot's going to come. If a bot comes, it hands them beautiful, clean HTML pages. If they know it's a human, they bring them onto the website. And when I launched that yesterday, I was blown away with the data. Like the bots were like this, like in the morning. And then when I launched it, the bots like just could crawl my website. Like I was just blown away. So I hope that works consistently. I'm just going to test it for like the next 10 days and see what happens. But that's definitely a service offering I can offer.
I love it.
You don't have to recreate websites, because I've done that a lot for my clients. But this is so much easier. Like we just dynamically, the page they land on, if it's your homepage, like every piece that's there gets handed to them in this beautiful HTML file that can be read by robots.
I love it. Yeah. That's so interesting. I mean, I'm sure that this ecosystem is constantly evolving and changing, which is always, it can be a little overwhelming, but I think once you kind of get the hang of it and stay consistent, it should be like anything else. And so, Monica, maybe if you can share with me where our viewers can find you, especially the franchise community that's, again, trying to figure this out as they build and as they continue to expand their businesses. This is so important. Where can they find you? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I have a website called monicaisystems.com. My whole content system is on a subdomain, but anybody can reach out to me. I'd love to have a chat. We can talk about like their pain points, challenges, how I can help them. But from there, there'll be a pop-up link that pops up for the podcast content system if people want to just go there. But my email is like what you see on the screen, monica.tomasso, and then at monicaisystems.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Something that maybe you wanna expand on?
Yeah, I have one thing that I think would be very important. I think there is platforms that franchisees post on, or there's directories, right? So being in those directories are only as good as like, if you're in that directory, but you're not building your authority, that doesn't help you, right? But being in that directory and you're building your authority, that's huge. I want to put that out there. So like, just that's another part of the city you're in.
Exactly. another flyer in another corner.
Exactly.
I love that. And yeah, anybody that needs a professional in AI search, again, we are trying to really bring the expert in the actual topic to the community, because it is an ever-changing landscape with technology. And if we can get ahead of the curve and really be able to position your brand, your system in a way that you are going to be suggested as the recommendation, is always a win for our clients. So we're really excited to have Monica as the AI search expert here as part of our community at Franchise FastTrack.
Thanks, Leslie. Thank you for hosting this. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.